Welcome to Lord's. Imran Khan has done more to interest the fairer sex in cricket than any other player. The lucky Pakistani pin-up gets more fan mail than many pop stars. His charisma has blossomed since his privileged upbringing and education, both in Pakistan and at Oxford University. He is now equally at home in both the Eastern and Western cultures. Given the task of captaining some of the most volatile players in world cricket, he has moulded Pakistan into a really effective team unit. All this at the same time as becoming the world's leading all-rounder. His other great sporting passion is clay pigeon shooting. Imi assures me that they're the only birds he's after.
It's funny what, I was looking in the autobiography and you were saying that you'd pulled a back muscle at one stage when you were having to go to bed everybody was being made to go to bed at 10:30.
Awful.
And people had said, oh, well, it's his fault for cavorting around with actresses. And the chances to cavorted were non-existent.
I can't even, and no, it was my side muscle.
Yeah.
It was a rib muscle, but because back muscle is associated with too much screwing, they put it down to that. They just insisted it was back. You know, I mean, especially in our part of the world. I mean, when your back goes, it means you've overdone it. I mean, it's just this old theory. It's really like an old wives' tale for some reason. I don't know if there is a connection, but they always relate to it. That his back's gone and he's doing too much. And you know, I kept saying it's a side strain, which was a rib muscle, you know, which is a very bowling injury you get.
Yeah.
And you know, the curfew, our captain was under so much pressure and the management that, you know, they imposed a curfew at 10:30 in the evening. I mean, that's stupid because in cricket it's one of those sports where you really need to unwind. You know, because the pressure is over 6 hours. And if you don't unwind in the evening, you're still going in the next day 10. And you really need to go at the end of the match. I mean, I told my team, ever since I became the captain, I will never question anyone. You know, if you want to stay up all night, you can do what you like. But if your performance is affected, then I will start querying your social life. But until and unless, you can do what you like. So it lays the entire onus on the player himself. He has to make, and you know, the player has to be honest with himself that, you know, I'm tired, I must sleep. But the stupid thing, 10:30 we had to be, and we couldn't go to sleep. I remember me and my roommate, we just sit there talking, watch TV, ended up sleeping later than we normally would. Because, you know, we weren't tired and we sort of kept sitting around. And whereas if you go out, you just come back, you're exhausted, you just lie in bed and pass out.
You've always been a keen party goer. Has it annoyed you that people have also tried to tie you with the reputation of a playboy?
I have never taken that seriously. I mean, people can say what they want of anyone, but it has had its problems, and more in Pakistan. I think if I was English, I wouldn't have cared much about it. But living in a country like Pakistan, where it's a very conservative society, and somehow it becomes quite an irritation to have an image like that.
I mean, you do enjoy your social life, don't you? I mean,
yeah, of
like
course.
most cricketers.
But you see, I'm not really. People make me out to be a real sort of club goer, but I actually hate nightclubs. And if any nightclub I've gone to, and it's Tramp in London, and the reason has been because you go there in an evening and you find most of your friends there. You know, or people after a dinner party, you all decide to go there. But apart from that, I actually dislike clubs.
Do you find it difficult after the years that you've been touring and playing Test cricket actually to get yourself motivated? Do you need something like this to look forward to, you know, to make the cricket more fun when you're playing it?
No, you see, cricket actually has been fun throughout. I have to say that, I mean, the reason I want to leave now is that it should become anything other than fun. I think, you know, at the moment, so far there have been few occasions when I haven't enjoyed my stories, and there are very few times. One of them was a tour to Sri Lanka, which I really hated because of the way the tour was conducted and the atmosphere there. But apart from that, I've always enjoyed myself. But I'm sad that in future tours are not going to be that much more enjoyable. I mean, as enjoyable as they used to be. I mean, I went to the West Indies 10 years ago, and it was one of the most enjoyable tours. The cricket was very tough, But the tour itself was planned such it gave us a lot of time to relax. There were side matches where one could rest and build up one's enthusiasm without having the mental pressure. And then we used to play the test matches. Now it's just a test match, one-day international test match. It's just as if every hour you're staying in the country, you're costing them money. So the tours become completely commercial. I mean, money is obviously in the mind of the organizers. And to maximize money making from the tour, they end up congesting the tour, and just the players are just drained by the end of the series. And I'm glad that I've played most of my cricket at times when tours were quite enjoyable, and there was a lot of time off where you could relax and see the country and prepare yourself and give your best in the test matches.
The morale in your team at the moment seems to be very high. They all seem to admire you very much. But when you were a young player and you were going in to the team, even before you went to Oxford, I think things were a bit different, weren't they?
Yeah, sadly, I mean, Pakistan teams have had this strange thing where everyone has been playing for themselves, and it's been so apparent. And I suppose now when I look at this current team and I look at the time when I walked into the test team, the difference is even more obvious to me. I mean, I never realized how bad we used to be. There were just so many factions, and everyone just was playing for himself. And I mean, I remember players who were actually happy at the failure of our own teammates. You know, I remember the pleasure they got when one or two of their own teammates failed, and enjoying their agony, you know.
So they'd like to see them fail, so it would guarantee them a place, the other people.
Place, or for some reason they thought that this guy was getting to his head, or he was getting too big for his boots, or some this strange attitude. Whereas I look at the present team, and I just sit in the dressing room and I just watch the concern. I never forget, I was playing a test match this winter in India, and it was a test in Calcutta where I had made such a blunder by making the wrong decision. I took a chance and put India in, and we just didn't manage to capitalize. In the end, we got ourselves into real trouble. And I was very tense because I felt I was letting the boys down through my own gamble which had failed. And I saw, I mean, these boys obviously realized that I was quite tense about it. And I saw these young cricketers who were on their first tour come up to me and say, look, don't worry, it'll be all right, you know. I was really touched.
They were coming up and comforting you.
Me, I mean, you know, whereas...
With all your experience.
With my experience and my age, and I found these young boys coming in telling me, look, doesn't matter, it'll be okay. We'll get back in the game, we won't lose. I mean, I was touched.
They do seem terrifically keen. I mean, having met and talked to people like Wesley Macron, they've got terrific sort of spirit, haven't they, and terrific attitude for it.
Yes, I mean, this is what I mean. It's so rare. And I think it came out in England, but where it really came out was in India this winter, where we just, I mean, on those conditions, India was a far superior side. And we were such a young team. I mean, like most of the team was so inexperienced. And the way they played as a team and fought, I think it really came out there.
When you do succeed and you are an idol out there, it must be absolutely incredible. What's the feeling like when you return home having, say, won a test?
Well, there was no greater feeling than when we beat India this time in India and when we came home. I have never experienced anything like that. In fact, it was almost as if, you know, the whole cricket career was worthwhile. Just that one reception we got at the airport.
What was it like?
Well, actually, they have made videos of it. The news, the Pakistan TV news sent me a little video. And I never realized there were even that many people because we were completely mobbed. I mean, but from a very ecstatic crowd. And when I looked at the video, I realized how many people there really were. It was as if the whole town was there. There were about 150, 200,000 people just at the airport. And there were 5 miles from the airport to the city center, which was just lined with people. And the passion, and it was just the greatest experience ever.
They also cheering and waving flags and going mad.
Dancing, and, you know, it was just the greatest experience of fulfillment, you know. And it was a very hard tour. So, you know, it just crowned the whole thing.
And particularly beating the old enemy.
Well, any team when you win after such a tough battle, and it was just very fulfilling.
Do you think that's the high point of your cricketing career?
Yes, that was. I mean, unless I win the World Cup, that would remain the high point of my career. Great shot.
A lot of people seeing your comeback from injury when you had the stress fracture and then you came back to bowl very well, very quickly again, were amazed that you were able to do the comeback. I mean, what do you think was the secret there?
You see, I never believed that I would not come back. I mean, I was amazed afterwards to find that a lot of the doctors thought I wouldn't be able to get back ever to my original pace. And almost everyone in cricket thought I wouldn't get back. I was surprised because I never had doubts in my mind. I knew that once my bone healed, the thing is I never gave it enough rest to heal. And I was badly, I was really badly medically advised because I was told to play when I shouldn't have. Anyway, so I was out for 2 years, and that too at my peak. I mean, I was 30 years old when my leg broke, and I didn't come back until I was 32 and a half, almost 33. And you know, normally fast bowlers are looking to retire at that age. But I suppose if you have the skill in your mind, you know what you can do. It's just a question of getting your body ready.
Because you're a great one for fitness and exercise. I mean, I've seen you doing endless exercise, stretching and running and everything with the team, something you don't see a lot of other top cricketers doing.
I think you have to really, as a fast bowler, there's no way you can bowl fast if you're not very fit, or if you keep yourself tuned. Your body has to be tuned to a certain level to be able to bowl fast, especially with my action, because I rely on a big jump. The jump makes it necessary for me, for my body to be very fit. Otherwise, it won't be able to coordinate.
Do you enjoy that side of it, the getting fit and the keeping yourself very much in trim? You seem to have a lot of pride in yourself.
Yes, I think fitness is important whether I'm playing cricket or not. I would really hate to be fat or unfit because I'm used to being fit all my life. I mean, I actually don't enjoy training that much. I find it very boring. You know, I find jogging the hardest thing. I'd much rather do sprints or short runs. But you know, endless jogging or a lot of gymnasium work is very hard for me. So in that sense, fast bowling, once you get yourself fit to a certain level, then just bowling fast makes you very fit.
For a lot of people's money, you're the best swing bowler in the world. Was that something you really perfected because of the slow, rather dead wickets in Pakistan and India?
Absolutely. I mean, in Pakistan, if I was a medium pace seam bowler who relied, you know, on the line and length and the wicket doing something, I would never have made it, because there the wickets just do not help any movement off the wicket. So you have to rely on movement in the air, and hence one has to perfect swing bowling, and that's what I used to do. I mean, when I started my cricket, I used to just bowl in the nets and just try to swing the ball, and then I got a little stronger and I developed pace. And I lost my swing for a while, but I realized that my effectiveness in wicket taking had to be when I was swinging the ball.
You also seem to be able to swing the ball even when it's old. I mean, is that something you've consciously aimed to do?
This is again playing cricket in Pakistan, because there the grounds are so hard, and they are so hard that they take the shine off the new ball very quickly. And if you are not able to swing the old ball, it's just, that means the overs you can swing the ball would be limited to about 4 or 5. And after that, you just can't swing it. So you learn how to swing the old ball, and not only me, you will find that most of the Pakistani bowlers will be able to swing the old ball.
Did you know as a child that you wanted to be a top cricketer? Was it always something you wanted to do?
Yes, I always thought, not only did I think that's what I wanted to do, but I always assumed that I will become a top cricketer. Little did I realize that it's not that easy.
Do you think that almost sort of arrogant assumption is part of you? You know, do you think that's typical of you?
Well, it was misplaced arrogance because I thought it'd be very easy. You know, two of my first cousins captained Pakistan, and when I was a schoolboy in prep school, one of my first cousins was just on the verge of playing Test cricket. That was Majid Khan, and the other one was a star in the Pakistan team and had already captained the team, and that was Javed Burki. So you know, having two cousins who were one was so famous, and the other one was on the verge of becoming, and he was really considered one of the best young players in Pakistan. So automatically I assumed that, you know, I'll just
walk straight in.
It'll be that easy.
Obviously it wasn't that easy. Where did it all come from?
No, it wasn't easy. I mean, it was easy to become a top cricketer in the school. I became the best batsman in the school. But when I went to play for the Lahore under-19s, I suddenly realized that, you know, there were a lot of people who were far better than me. And that was a shock to me because I never expected people to be better than me. And, and so, you know, then of course started, I mean, I enjoyed the competitiveness, and in fact, I made it as a bowler. I mean, I was always a batsman. So that was a surprise to me too, because I always used to, I held the school records as a batsman. But there were so many batsmen better than me that I had to rely more on bowling to get me into the Lahore under-19 team.
Did you find it was quite a sort of privileged existence at that stage? Were they mainly the sort of prep school and public school kind of boys that you were playing with, or did you come up against all sorts at that age?
No, I fortunately went to a school which was a public school and was called HSN College, which was the best school, I still think is the best school in Pakistan. And especially in sports, it was, we had the best sports fields, we had the best coaches, and it was very privileged to be in that school. And we were so good that we wouldn't play the other schools, we would play the clubs. You know, we thought we were that good. But in the, you know, in the school context, it was a comparison with the other boys. I felt I was much better than the other boys of my age. But actually in Lahore, the best cricketers weren't the ones who were from school, they were the ones who were just young boys who went into clubs straight away and who just played cricket full time. And, you know, they were much better than other schoolboys, you know, because they just didn't go to school. Most of them would just play a lot, like someone like Javed Miadad. I mean, he didn't pay much attention to schooling. He just went straight into cricket, and from a very young age started playing club cricket. And that's how most of the players who play in Pakistan team, they don't come through the school level, they actually go straight into clubs now.
Were you a great sportsman in other respects as well? Do you enjoy all the ball games?
Yes, at school I used to play field hockey and squash, and I used to swim. But gradually I just lost interest in everything.
So is this really the main game that you play now? Do you still play squash, for instance?
No, I mean, especially past 6-7 years, I just don't play any other sports because I find I have no time now. I mean, once I'm through with cricket, the last thing I want to do is to play any other game. And I just find that there's so many other things I want to do.
You've had enormous pressures on you, both as captain of Pakistan and also, particularly in England, I'm sure in Pakistan as well, you seem very much to have almost had the mantle of a sort of pin-up. Does it affect you? You know, do you have any problems with your status as a pin-up?
No, I mean, that side never becomes a strain because, I mean, one has to be silly to take that seriously. You know, I realize that all adulation or anything depends on your success on the cricket field. And, you know, one shouldn't have any illusions about it because success makes, you know, people always, I mean, if you're a successful sportsman, you will always have more following. I mean, people like Dennis Lilly, or, you know, before that, Keith Miller, and a lot of others, you know, in Pakistan we used to have Fazal Mahmood. They always had following because they were successful. But the one thing one must realize, and one shouldn't be sidetracked, or one shouldn't be led to believe that everything is due to your success on the cricket field. And so once you realize that, then it's very easy to cope with it.
Here you are with a pile of what look very much like fan letters. I suppose you must get absolutely parcels of them every day.
Well, most of them are just for signed autographs.
Does it ever get difficult, though, the fact that you probably can't move in Pakistan without being chased and followed about?
It has its disadvantages. I mean, it does there are times when one feels, I mean, especially me, I'm not an extrovert, and there are times I don't like being noticed if I go somewhere. I don't like being observed, and at times that's irritating, but there are a lot of advantages, and and especially in Pakistan, I mean, to have things done, people are willing to run around for you, do things for you, and you go to the customs, everyone recognizes you, and things get done much quicker. I mean, I don't complain. I mean, I think that there are far more advantages. And of course, there's nothing a sportsman wants more, or any entertainer wants more than being acknowledged for his achievement.
Does all the stuff written in the newspapers and in magazines like the ones in Pakistan and India about your Playboy image ever get to you?
No, it used to worry me a lot more in the beginning, because I used to get quite annoyed that there was a serious cricketer being called a playboy. But now it doesn't make any difference, because I realize that people have to sell magazines or newspapers, and they would write, no matter what you do, they're going to write whatever they want to or what will sell.
Has anything really upset you in that line?
I was disappointed on this tour, actually, by some of the things that were written. I mean, some of these cheap newspapers had headlines like cheats, they called us cheats and all sorts of things. And that annoyed me, because I felt, if trying to win and just playing competitive cricket and just trying to win is cheating or anything, I was very offended. Because I've always played my cricket, and I'd like to think very fairly. I mean, I'm the only captain who in his own country ever insisted on having neutral umpires against the best team in the world, which was against the West Indies. And yet, to be called cheats for something so trivial as having two substitutes, two of our fielders get injured in the match and they go off, and we have two substitutes, and that's called cheats. Or something like, or for instance, in one hour, we bowl 3 overs less than the stipulated number, and that's called cheating. I mean, that really offended me, and I was disappointed.
What would you like to do in the long run? There's been a lot of talk about you perhaps going back to Pakistan and perhaps an arranged marriage according to your religion. Is that something that you've thought about much?
Well, I mean, I live in Pakistan. I only come here to play cricket, so, it's not a question of going back. What I want to do, I'm still not sure, because I feel if I give myself, totally remove myself from the game, I will be in a much better position to take some sort of rational decision of what I want to do. I think it's very difficult when one is full-time involved in something so competitive as a professional sport to make a decision, a career decision, or something completely different, I find that difficult.
Do you think they'll be able to twist your arm to continue to play for, say, a season or another couple of seasons? Because you do seem to be at the peak of your form at the moment.
Yes, but also, I mean, I've done well because I've been inspired. I mean, these were the goals I wanted to achieve. But, my problem now is motivation, and, I wonder if I keep playing, I will be able to give my best, because I might not feel, really that motivated. And that's the only reason I want to leave, when I can turn it on and then enjoy my cricket, and there's a lot of challenge and have my adrenaline going. I'd rather leave when I feel that I can't turn it on when I want to.
How important is your religion to you?
It is important because, I'm a Muslim, and, I believe in the Muslim faith, and I try to go along my religion as I see it. And, yeah, it is important.
Would you still consider the arranged marriage that's been talked of?
Arranged marriage is not a part of my religion. It's part of my culture. It's just that the way our culture is in Pakistan, that's the way, if you want to get married, that's the easiest way to get married. But whether I'll have an arranged marriage or whatever, I'm not sure anymore. I used to be, when I was younger, very sure of what I wanted to do, or how I thought it'll be like it's happened to everyone, all my cousins. I thought I'd follow the same path, but the older I get, I find it harder.
Would you consider something like, say, going into films or into politics, two things which have been suggested?
Politics is very, it's just, the decision is so difficult because it takes so much of commitment and it's, dedication, and I wonder if I've got that selflessness to just be a politician and live for the people. And I wonder if I have it. But as far as films go, definitely not, because I'm not an actor, and
Well,
I don't want
plenty
to.
of sportsmen have made that jump quite successfully. Very
Yes,
much
I
on their
suppose
personalities.
maybe people have, they are more extroverts. I'm not really that outgoing a person, and I think to act would be very difficult for me.